I suppose I better earn my keep because, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to this edition of the Halcyon Show. My name is Lorne Risley, host of the show. How you doing? Today, once again, we welcome one of the best battle rappers the UK has ever produced. No lie, an accomplished musician and rapper in his own right. A Leeds man boasting a career spanning well over 50 battles, now one extra. Performing across the world, a man known for a cool demeanor and even cool visage. He is responsible for some of the biggest clashes in UK battle rap history as both a single and a double competitor, and is producing some of the best music the scene has ever seen, having recently released his album. Plus, we're going to be talking about some new music he's about to release or he's in the middle of making. If he were an action hero, he'd be Dirty Harry. If he were a wrestler, he'd be a Razor Ramon. If he were a food, he'd be a 14-ounce solid block of flawless ice. And if he were a UK battle rap icon, he'd be his own damn twin. Please welcome the always ill, always trill, and more powerful than a Kaioken times 10. It's the stupendous P Solja.
The pleasure is all mine, Lon. How are you doing, my brother?
I'm good. You must be sick of hearing that intro by now, because this is the third or fourth time we have whipped that bad boy out.
It actually gets better every time. It's better.
It's
so next
good.
time, I'm expecting it to be even better.
It's so good, in fact, it's now used for promotional purposes. So, true story, ladies and gentlemen. I was in Sheffield for no reason, no particular reason, not too long ago, and coincidence of coincidences, P Solja happened to be performing live at the venue I happened to be in. And while I was there, looking oh so cool and not in any way awkward amongst the significantly younger and cooler fan base of the establishment, P Solja pulls me aside and says, "Bro, we're doing a show." And I go, "Are we?" "We are. I'll send you a list of my tracks. You're listening to them and we're reviewing them." And I go, "Okay, when?" "I'll let you know." And his PA got a hold of his PA, who then got a hold of me. And then we arranged this sit down today, because what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going through an assortment of new audible delights that you've been producing. Do you want to kind of take it from there and tell us what exactly we're going to be navigating through today?
My up-and-coming album, JMB to the World, which is like, I don't really want to put a stigma on it and say it's a tribute album to my friend that passed away, but it's kind of named after him because I've done on it, I reckon he would feel is fucking dope. Do you know what I mean? And it's just my way of saying, you know, thank you, and we're still out here grinding, you know. So I'm gonna put a feature of him on there, and yeah, like the artwork, the title, everything is like tailored down to him.
What was the kind of the genesis for thinking the album would be the fitting tribute? Is it because the music is reminiscent of it, or it just allows you to express what you want to express? Talk to me. What was the kind of the moment where you're like, do you know what, we should do this?
I'm actually glad you asked me that, because that was not the original like thought process behind the album. Like when I first started making the album, it was originally going to be Rage Pack 2. Which is a follow-up from the last body of work I put out. So when I started recording for that, like, I found myself saying JMB to the world a lot, and I just thought to myself, do you know what? I delete more or less that I had for Rage Pack 2. Just redo my beat selection, rewrite my songs, and just start again as JMB to the world. And to be 100% honest with you, that has it's helped a lot more for me in the creative process. It's helped a lot more for me. I'm a lot more happier with how it's sounding now. I'm a lot more happier with the beats. I'm happier with the subjects I'm talking on, and you know, it's just the kind of thing, like, me and him met musically through like music, so it's only fitting that my tribute to him would be something associated with music, if that makes sense.
And is there a common thread? I mean, because I've obviously sampled it, and obviously there are a couple of common threads that I've noticed, but like in your mind, when you're, because I understand having never made an album, obviously, but when you're trying to make an album, there are tracks that do suit what you're trying to go for. There are good music tracks that you make, but you go, doesn't quite fit the composition that I'm going for. how do you navigate that? How do you go about kind of fashioning the tracks to make a kind of concise body of work?
Me to explain that is like when I'm getting into a creative process or I'm getting in like the mind frame to record and so on and so forth, everything's on instinct. So whatever you hear on that song is exactly what I was feeling in that present moment in time. So like I work on a basis of I don't, should I say, take beats away, sit down, write, think about this, record it, don't like the sound of it, rewrite it, or I never sit on things, because once I sit on things, I'll become obsessive with it. And when I become obsessive with it, that's when it starts taking me like 3 weeks to finish a song. And nobody's got time for that. So everything I do is instinctive. If I wake up and I feel like recording, I'll record. I aren't gonna beat myself into wanting to record, or I'm not gonna try and force anything. If I don't feel like doing it, I don't feel like doing it. And I think that's why I haven't really put a release date on the album, but it will be very soon, because I can't make no more music. You know, I need to and get it out, but I just keep adding to it and adding to it and adding to it, and that's because, like I say, I record on an instinctive basis. So if I don't feel like finishing something, but I feel like starting something else because I found a beat, I will do that, because I'm not really putting too much pressure on myself, if that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense, man. I mean, I've got the track listing here. Should we go play by play, or should we? I don't know. Are there any tracks that you want to highlight in particular, maybe, or where should we start?
Wherever, man, let's go wherever, because the track list you've got is the final track list, but the features won't be on there. So there'll be features on there that I'll probably save until the release, but it's gonna be crazy, man.
Well, the first thing that struck me, and ladies and gentlemen, I'm white. So you're going to have to forgive me for the way I describe some of these things. And I'm also not a musician and have lived somewhat of a sheltered life. Y'all love your bass. I have wireless headphones like the ones that you charge. And I train usually for about 2 hours a day, and the charge is usually enough to see me through a training session. My buds died trying to contend with the sheer power and velocity that was in this music after no less than 45 minutes, and I'm not lying about that. So what I found about a lot of the tracks was that there's an awful lot of vibrancy to them. There's a lot of pace, a lot of energy. And that's kind of accompanied by this, not subdued, but certainly restrained performance on your part by a lot of your vocals and a lot of your lyricism. So I guess, why don't you take me through one of the tracks that you think exemplifies that?
You see, what I was trying to capture when I was creating this album as well, which I'm actually glad that you were there to see it. Like a lot of this element for this album is live basis. So I'm creating a lot of these songs with the perspective of performing them live. I'm recording them from the perspective of thinking what I would be like as a fan hearing, boom, just out of nowhere, here you go, full on fucking rage. Let's smash this place up. Let's go fucking crazy. And that is everything that I tried to capture in the album. So every single song on there is live. Listen to the song at home or in the car or working out or whatever you're doing, you'll get a different feeling to hearing it live. You'll get a different feeling to, I don't know, hearing it in a smoking setting, in a drinking setting, in a fucking after party drug setting or whatever. Like every place you listen to this album, it will give you a different emotion and capture a different kind of, the rage, should I say?
It's funny you should say. So I don't know if you've you're a video game player. I know you like your 2K NBA. The one that struck me, and you'll forgive me for making again such a dated reference, is the old school fight nights, and to a lesser degree the UFC games, where they've got this assortment of songs that you could totally see being in an MMA gym, where guys are trying to get into a rhythm, a pace, right? but they're also trying to vent. They're trying to channel aggression. And when I was listening to your songs, No Word of a Lie, dude, it was everything in me not to start shadowboxing. And of course, what happens? I pick up a couple of hand weights, and it's suddenly like bum 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 bum, and there's something restrained, yet, like I was saying, there's a vibrancy to it. There's a real permeation of energy in some of these songs that is impossible not to move to. So when you say that you're making them for a live, for more of a live capacity, that makes total sense to me, because their energy really transcends in the way it was being basically played to me while I was just trying to sample it, man. I was just trying to listen to it, and it's impossible not to interact with it. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, for instance, there's a song on the album called Aroma, and Aroma will be featuring Billy Boy and called Lil Napper, and like I actually recorded about probably 4 years ago. But when I recorded it 4 years ago, I realized that if I was to put that out then, people wouldn't have got it. All this time, like putting in work and doing shows, pushing Rage Pack, like taking Rage Pack all over the place. Like now I've got that sound out there, I feel like that people will be ready for this sound now. So the songs like that I've sat on for a long time on it, and I've sent it out to people. And what I need to remember is because I make so much music, something that might be old to me will be brand new to somebody else. So when I'm interacting with different artists in order to build this project that I'm doing, I'm sending them songs and they're like, yo, what the fuck, this is dope. And to me, I'm thinking, bro, this is like 3 or 4 years old, like which Aroma is. Like the Russian artist I've got on that song, he's probably submitted like 3 or 4 verses to that song, because I spent that long completing it. He was thinking it was him that was holding it up. So he's thinking, oh, bro, was my verse not dope enough? I'll send you a next one. Bro, he sent me a verse in Russian. He sent me a verse in English. He sent me a verse in Russian and English. Like, and I just had to tell him, like, bro, it's not you that's slowing it up. It's me, because I need to get back there in order to complete that. Even though it was that long ago and it fits my sound now, I still have to take myself there to where I was at that present moment in time in order to complete that song. Because when I came up with that hook, I was in a different place to where I am now. And that's why I kind of find it hard. Like, people beg me to do a grime freestyle or put out some grime music, and the reason why I can't is because I'm not there anymore. So in order for me to do that, I'd have to take myself back there. It's kind of like, you know, when you see like method actors and like a certain actor will, I don't know, maybe playing the role of a homeless person. So then they'll spend the next 3 to 4 months interacting with homeless people, maybe to the point living homeless, and, you know, hearing people's stories with the ear to the street or whatever. It's kind of like that. But for me to do that, my livelihood and my freedom, it's not like there's security and I'm here and there and all that shit like an actor would be that's trying to get into that role. I'm gonna have to really get into that life, because I can't talk about that shit if I'm not. And I can only be called things back in the day so many fucking times. I can't keep saying that. Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of a, do I just write a whole verse cross-referencing, or do I get back into that lifestyle, or do I just mature as an artist and move on? And that's what I feel like I had to do.
Speaking of the maturity element then, so you were talking earlier about how you were crafting this with the idea of it being in a live environment, or it benefiting a live environment. What are some of the challenges in approaching the sound and the composition of an album with that in mind then, versus another environment? So I mean, if you said that you had it in your mind where it might be in different settings, but in the live element, when you're on stage and you're performing it live, and you've got it in your mind that this needs to hit a certain way when I'm doing it live, when they hear it on the CD on a track. How do you approach replicating that or imbuing that sort of energy into it? Or what are some of the challenges in approaching it when you hear something you go, that doesn't sound right for what I'm going for?
That's a good question, and the reason why that's a good question is because then me to express how I, bro, for me is weird because it's the way I deal with music is kind of like the way some people deal with football. So somebody will have the favorite team, or they'll have, like, everybody's a fan of a team, but you'll have an assortment of players that you're interested in and that you really think are world class or whatever. So you might be more susceptible to keeping an eye out for that footballer, or keeping your eye on that player's team. It might not even be in England, it might be a fucking Spanish team or a Serie A team or whatever. Like, so that's how I treat music. So I've got like my favorite artists, which I consider as my team, and then I've got like, I'm a fan of different people for different things. And when I say I'm a fan of them, like, I will listen to their music, I will watch all the live shows, I'll wait up to watch things on YouTube at 5 a.m. when so-and-so is doing a random performance in LA, so the time difference makes me have to stay up till 5 a.m. Like, that's how I treat music. So when I'm doing this, I like to think to myself, I've got a pretty good eye and ear for that kind of thing. Like, I know what can make a crowd go fucking mental. On top of that, I've got a wealth of experience now. I've done hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of shows. I know what people expect from me. I know what people want from me. And there's been songs the other thing as well, that I've kind of been fortunate in this music thing to have the friends that I've got, and to have, like, I've been pretty fortunate with that. So I'm able to, I don't know, in the past I've been lucky enough to bring me out for a show. He's putting me in a venue that's sold out, you know, it's packed. I can perform my songs. So in them situations, I'm like trialing songs. I'll perform and I'll think, oh no, that one didn't really go that mad, so that'll just get pushed aside. Or fucking hell, that one got a really good response. Everyone were asking me about that one, and so on and so forth. So in that sense, I've been kind of lucky that it's a mixture of knowledge and just having the natural ear for it, and being able to trial and error stuff to a live audience as well.
It's funny you mentioned the live audience element, because the last album I remember hearing that had that kind of energy was by a band called Enter Shikari, and their live performances exceed their albums, but not in the idea of quality. It's that when you go to one of their events, you feel that they've fabricated these songs with the live events in mind, because they know this is the emotional high of this song. Here's the natural break in this song. This is where I'm going to need to G up the crowd. This is where I'm going to need to calm them down. It's tempered with that in mind. And you mentioned there that you've pulled on sort of years of experience and hundreds of, performances. In that sense, then, were there any particular performances, or were there any particular lessons that you learned from some of your live performances that you made sure to take into this album? Any like moments, or in the wrestling terminology, I guess, the high spots, those moments where you're like, right, at a live event, I want to make sure this song facilitates this moment, and I know it's going to hit just right?
Because I've don't get me wrong, I've got songs, or I've had songs in the past that I've gone and I've performed live, and the crowd has been complete static, and everyone's just like, and I'm like, whoa, like that. Do you know what I mean? But then I've also gotten back by performing something else that has absolutely tore the roof off of it. So it's kind of like taking the rough with a smooth pause. So at one time, I did a show in Huddersfield, and this was another show with Luna, and that was the one where I was kind of going from the transition of doing grime music into like doing rave or more like rap trap music, previewing a bit of like rap trap music, and all everybody wanted to hear in that crowd was me spit over grime or bassline. So every time I'd put a new song on and it wasn't the song that they particularly wanted to hear, it wasn't getting the best reaction. And you know, that was kind of like for me, as if to say, right, I can't just be forcing new music down people's necks like that, which then leads me on to us digital age, like a social media age. So now I'm able to, I don't know, fuck around in the house, film a little short video, edit it on my phone and just upload it straight to Instagram, and then just get people's to it. And that's kind of how I've done the album run leading up to JMB. Been pushing it. I've been putting out little previews of songs and little verses of songs here and there, and every one of them, touch wood, has had a solid, like, crazy reaction. Every one of them's done well on views. So it's got to a point where I haven't really used much. I've just been using my Instagram, promoting to my core fan base, and seeing where I can take it from there.
I feel the time has come. We need to get into specifics. We need to start talking about receipts. So I've pulled up the track listing, and the first one that comes to mind that well, you're gonna have to help me, because again, I am not versed in some of the ways that you've typed these. I want to say it's Zewski. Did I get that right, or is that 5 supposed to be a T?
You got that, by God.
There you go, goddamn right. So that one I felt was a little bit off the cadence of what I'm referring to. So there's still a lot of energy, but there's a darker vibe to this one. There's a kind of an undertone to this one, as opposed to sort of the more overt synthy, well, not synthy, but more techny stuff that you added. So what was the background for this one?
I wish there was some long dramatic story I could give you, but I literally came across that beat and I was listening to it for about 15 minutes, and normally if I out firing after 10-15 minutes, like I'll skip that beat on, but there was just something about that beat that would just rest in my brain, like I just couldn't turn it off. And then as I know, I'm freestyling and stuff, and then I recorded my freestyle, and then I deleted the freestyle, and then I just started punching the lyrics in. And as I started punching the lyrics in, it slowly, believe it or not, became one of my favorite songs off the album. That was probably the last song I recorded for the album. So that's there is a difference in that, because like I say, I record day to day and how I feel. So because I came across that beat that day, and that's when I'm drawing the deadline for that album, like, right, no more songs now, like no more fucking songs. I can't do no more songs. So when I drew the line on that was the last beat that I found when I was going through these beat packs. And like I say, it was just mulling over me, and yeah. My favorite songs on the album, and it's literally what I'm saying on the song is what I was actually doing.
There you go. Well, next one I've picked out is Geekski. Now this one is again a little bit more subdued, I would say. It kicks off kind of the beats tickety tickety a little bit, and then you come in. This one's a little bit, like I say, a little bit more relaxed, a little bit less on the sort of the instant energy vibe of some of the other tracks. What's the story with this one?
Like a lot of these titles is where I was at that present moment in time. So that right there is called Geek Ski because right then I was geeked out of my fucking mind. And yeah, so when we geeked up, and that's that right there comes out. Another one again, when I performed that live in Sheffield, that went crazy because
You know your audience. That's what you know. That's all. I can't say fairer than that. But the one I wanted to talk about. So again, I want to make sure I get this right. I think it's ski ski that you've called it here, and the reason for that is because there's just an element to it that there's something menacing to it because there's this effect that just kind of reverbs round and sinks back and the beats kind of and it's go. And like I said, when I'm shadowboxing, there's this underlying pent-up energy to it without it going completely crazy, but it's strong, it's consistent. Talk to me about this one.
Sound of the whole album, I wanted the album to sound like dark. Like I wanted it to be a dark album, but at the same time I didn't want it to be a depressing album. So that can explain more the difference between the beat choice and the subject of matter on the song. Even though I haven't really gone for the element where I'm telling stories on this album as much, but I'm more like drawing on experiences. So if I'm talking about scenario on one song, but then I might flip and start talking about something completely else, is because I'm literally capturing how my brain's moving at that present moment in time. Because another thing for this album, like I didn't, like I say, sit down and write songs. A lot of it I punched in. So I just literally got the mic, played the beat over a couple of times, thought of a few lines, and then I'd record, I don't know, maybe 4 lines. Then I'd stop, hear the 4 lines back, play it again. Onto that, start it from the beginning, play it again, and that's how I literally wrote, well, constructed every song for this album. So doing it like that because I found that I'm able to say anything I fucking like. Like if I'm wanting to say something, it's easier for me to put it into 4 lines than it is for me to sit there and think of some smart, like 2-line. Which, don't get me wrong, if that's your way of doing things, that's your way of doing things. I just can't do it like that. So I prefer to record like that. So when in Ski Ski, that was just as it was. The being one after another, after another, after another, after another. So that I probably might have even recorded that in 8-bar gaps because I was firing that. It was just like.
Is it fair to say then? Is it fair to say then that this album has kind of been guided by more feeling than a message of sorts? You know what I mean? Like with some artists, they want to have like this underlying message that the album's supposed to convey, whereas some albums I've always thought about through the prism of how they made me feel while I was listening to them, and the artist has obviously gone to great lengths to evoke certain emotions or a certain feeling or a certain vibe. Like you just said there, like you wanted to evoke a darkness, but not a depressive darkness. You wanted it to be just sort of this like murky, almost sinister. Like I get the I get like a not a Halloween vibe, but you know what I mean, like a menacing vibe to that one in particular, right? But it's not a menacing in the sense of it's scary. It's just cool. You know what I mean? Like, is that something that you've kind of taken in? Were there influences that had a bearing on that?
There's always influences, like no matter what. But the way I draw influence might be like like different. Like I like a lot of fashion, so I can draw influence from fashion to make me write a song, to start making music, or I can just walk down the street, see something happen, and I'll think, fucking hell. I remember when something like that happened to me, and then, oh shit, I've thought of an old scenario that I completely forgot about. And I don't know, I might take 3 lines out of that, but the 3 lines that I've taken for that are now a basis for me to start a whole fucking song. Or vibe. And if the vibe ain't sitting, delete it, start again, or move on to the next one and see how it goes. But like I was saying before, I'm luckily enough to have a network of friends around me that I can just send a song to, and then they'll say, "Oh, yo, that's sick," or "Yeah, it's got too much reverb," or "Yeah, I think you should try this tone of voice," or do you know, just little things like that, and all them kind of little things there always help, especially when you've got a network of friends that are into music. Like I haven't just got 10 rapper friends or 10 fucking techno friends or 10 trans friends or whatever. Do you know what I mean? I've just got 10 friends that some of them are artists, some of them are not. Some of them have a good ear for that. Like my brother can rap, but I wouldn't consider him an artist. But he has got one of the best ears for me, and that's because he's a fan of music itself. Stuff. Some respond to, and then I'll think, ah, yeah, maybe that's not it. But you know, but always being sure of what you want to achieve from the end product. So me asking into Sims, oh, what do you think of the drums on this song? So I don't know, I wasn't really listening for that. Men around you, but know your audience and know who you. For this album, I'm not gonna lie, I've probably sent about 5 songs, and then I got one song in particular, and I thought, nah, this is the one I should have sent him at first. So then when I've sent him this, which is probably like the 6th song, he's been like, boom, yeah, I'm on it. Yeah, that's fire. Yeah, I can fuck with that. And then I thought to myself, see, I was trying to force it. Whereas in you just let things happen naturally, it'll always come to light, you know.
How do you know when a song's done? I've never made music before. I've dabbled in drums and a bit of guitar. I've tried to sing, can't do it. So I've never really gone through the process of composing a song as opposed to what I do, video editing and stuff, which is very simple. You have a certain amount of material. You've got a certain amount of editing that needs to go in it. There might be some things that you need to clip. There might be some bits that you trim out for the sake of pacing. But I'd imagine it's different when you're trying to capture an essence. Like when you sit down to record, you're almost trying to discover something that you know is in there somewhere because you're trying to hit on something. But in your own mind, like when do you know a song is as good as it's liable to be before you just starting to fuck with it for the sake of fucking with it?
Question that, but that's just I always keep things to myself because, like you say, if I was just doing all that by myself, I would be one of them like, oh yeah, yeah, just let me just fuck with this a little bit more. Let me just go back and bro, I've done that on projects before, and my most successful project, which is probably Now Watch Face, when I recorded that, recorded my verse, recorded my hooks, left the studio and just left everything with the engineer. So then the engineer would chop it all up, put it together. Obviously, I'd give him a brief skeleton on how I wanted the song to sound. And then it got to a point where after because he did the whole project, you see. Because if I'm doing something like that, I won't want 2 songs mixed from you, 3 songs mixed from him, another 2 mixed from. I want to record them all in the same place. I want them all to be mixed and mastered by the same person, and then like that. That's how I like to keep it. But I was dealing with the same person, and I was recording everything in the same place with the same mic, all getting mixed on the same software by the same person, and much easier. But then you might invest in a little piece of equipment yourself. You might buy this yourself, and then you might sit down with this person who will say, "Oh, yo, try doing this way, or try doing it." So then you get a little basis of being able to do this kind of stuff yourself, and then that's where I got to, and then I found myself something and not know how to get it back, so I'm having to ring Lefty and say, "Yo, I fucking deleted this, and this. How do I do it?" He'd say, I FaceTime me. I'm having to put my screen on FaceTime, and he's having to say, "Yeah, click that, click this, click." Because I genuinely didn't have a clue, but I was trying to do what, like, I didn't want to waste my money. I thought, bro, I've spent like nearly $2,000 on all this equipment. I'm gonna have to like learn how to fucking use it. But a bit more than right. That's to record. That's to stop. Like, really was that? So on me shit. I'll mix it and I'll send you it back. See what you think and answer. But like that's how. That's enough because I'll just send it. Once I know it's ready to send, my hands then, and I either like it or I'll fucking hate it. There's never no in between.
How dare you assume that we don't like long-winded answers on this pro? We fucking adore long-winded answers on this show. We have no time for shorts or fucking clips or any of that bollocks. I want to hear every agonizing detail. But it does bring up an interesting question in my mind, which is, obviously with any project, even if you've had reps, even if you've gone through the trials and tribulations before, there's always unique hurdles to every project, especially when you're trying to go for something new. And even if you're banking on experience, there's, oh, I'm not quite sure about this. So talk to me about some of the challenges that faced you on this album that maybe you haven't had to encounter, or maybe some of the hurdles that you've had to overcome in terms of executing it the way you wanted to execute it this time.
Of all is phase where I've got too much or none at all. So very, very like instinctive and impulsive. So I can wake up one morning and think, yeah, I'm gonna record 20 songs today on my iMac and play Football Manager for 3 hours. Then I'll be like, right, fuck this. I need to clear my head. I need to not think about music, and then I'll get the inspiration back. I'm gonna play some Football Manager and chill out, and then I'll turn it on and end up recording 3 songs. 2 more. What I'm also bad at doing as well is if I'm working on my own album and somebody sends me a feature, like I can't say no. So then I'll stop doing everything that I'm doing for myself for somebody else, and then I've kind of like exhausted my creative process for that day, and then right, fuck it, I'll finish my stuff tomorrow, and then tomorrow never comes, but then go new, and it would just motivation and kind of having no structure.
Let's talk about something as far as probably hard to answer this one, but if you had to pick a song from the album that you say maybe not typifies it, but is certainly the song you're proudest of in terms of the one that you'd want to say, right, if you have any reason to check out this album, it's this track, because I think it's maybe not my favorite, or maybe it doesn't typify the album, but it's the one that I think this is the one that's going to hook you in. Which track would you maybe elect there?
Probably the one that the video is out for now on my YouTube, which is Shroomski, because like that song will capture the element of the whole album for you, because once you listen to that, you'll know exactly what to expect from the whole album, which is a damn good trip or a very good turn up, whichever way you want to look at it. That's the way it is. So listen to that, and that is a good introduction into what the album is going to be about.
That one I found a little bit more complex. Again, sort of that more sort of more darker element, but again, it's interesting, man. I haven't really noticed this until we started talking, but each of the tracks is kind of on a slightly there are no two ones that bring in the exact same amount of energy and pop. It's almost like they're all a little dial different. They're on slightly different levels and cadences now that I think about it. I hadn't noticed that until I actually sat to think then the description of it. I mean, was that conscious? Like, because again, I imagine that's something that probably wasn't, considering, like you said, you feel it out, as opposed to you being like, right, this song has to be like this, which means this song has to be like this. Is that just an accident then? The fact that it's
that's just literally preference, like I say, and how I'm feeling at that present moment in time. So if I'd all right, for instance, this is how polar it is, yeah, like say I recorded that song on Tuesday, yeah. If I'd have found that beat on Wednesday or Thursday, I might have not even liked it. But at that present moment in time, because I found that beat, and then I started saying, I just took some shroomies with you, bitch, and we can't stop laughing, because and it just was going over the beat when I just thought, right, yeah, I can fuck with that. And again, that's another one I was sat on for about 3 months thinking, yeah, I need to get a feature for this, but I want to do something different. I just don't want somebody to rap on it. And then obviously I sent it to my boy Hutchy Swango, and he fucking completely murdered it and sent me it back. And then he was like, let me do an animated video for it. Because again, like me, he's a weirdo. If I ask him to do something, if I ask him to do something on Wednesday, he's probably not gonna do it, bro. But if I ring him one morning and I catch him on that day, there's a very good chance he'll finish that by 8 o'clock that night. But you've got to catch him when you need him, like. So this time I happened to he said to me, let me do an animated video for this, and I'm thinking, I don't know if I trust you to say yeah, because I don't want to get mad with you and have to start being like, yo, Jimmy, where the fuck's this video, man? Blah, blah, blah. So he just started working on it, and he was sending me clips of the video, and I'm like, hey, he's really fucking doing it. And then at the end of it, he sent me the video, and I was like, okay, there you go, it's out. So yeah, like that one there captures the main element of the album, because it got made how the whole album got made. It's very subjective to the album, and you know, that 808 will punch you in your fucking face.
What's the track that you think surprised you the most that made it? Like maybe when you were putting it together, and then in the end, it's like, do you know what? that might work quite well. Like the one that you think maybe even when people listen to it, they'll listen to it once and then the kind of you'll hear the same old ones over and over again. I like this one, this one. But then when time passes and people listen to it on a third or fourth go, they're like, do you know what? This one sort of snuck on me a bit. Every great album has that one sort of sleeper track that when they go back and listen to it, like, do you know what? This one might be the one I end up listening to the most because it's the one that I seem to be revisiting the most because it's like this unique little island of obscurity on an otherwise consistent plane. Like, is there any song on there that you would say typifies that?
Yeah, another one which is featuring me, Lefty, Jamsey, and Harris Hamid. That one there is the kind of song that I wouldn't have even considered putting on the album because it doesn't really suit the sound of the album, but it's one of them where the song got made on an impulse because I actually invited Jamsey around to record for Rage Pack, which is the artist that's on Leeds Man with me. So when I invited him around to get his verse with that, obviously, like we're all artists, do you know what I mean? So he ain't just gonna come round and record one verse or whatever. So we recorded Leeds Man, and then we started working on something else, and then Lefty spat a verse on it, and then Harris Hamid sang on the hook, and like I remember I was sat on that song for so long. Obviously, since Rage Pack, it didn't suit the sound of Rage Pack, so I couldn't put it on that. So I was kind of sat on it, and every time I listened to it and it just came on in my playlist, I'm just thinking, nah, this is an album song. This is definitely an album song. This is not the kind of song I can just put out on a mixtape or put out as a single. I'm like, this is an actual album song. So I just made sure that I put it on JMB as a bonus song because I thought it's too good to leave off, even though it doesn't suit the sound of the album. It is more of a bonus of, there you go, it got recorded in the same era as the whole album, but it just sounds a little different, which I love. Like, I actually like that song. It's one of my favourite songs on the album, and like you say, it's probably a sleeper. I reckon that's the song people are going to listen to and be like, fucking hell, I didn't expect that. This is actually a good fucking song. You know, even though, because a lot of it is just being, like I say, made for live shows, made to turn up, made to go crazy. I think that's the song people are going to listen to and be like, hold on a minute, what the fuck? I could play this on the radio. So yeah.
All right. Two final questions. Let me try and make them good ones. As far as like, because again, this isn't your first rodeo, so you've had to evolve and change over time. What do you think this album has made you evolve into in terms of an artist and performer from where your previous ones, like in terms of the decisions you would have made on this album that maybe you wouldn't have been cognizant of in previous ones, or maybe just in the composition of it? Like, how have you evolved as a result of this one?
I've probably evolved more, that I've learned a lot more on the recording process kind of things. Like I've learned a lot more about how to get the best of what I've got. So because I've learned that, going forward now, it's gonna make things a lot easier. It's gonna make my engineer or whoever I send my vocals to get mixed and mastered jobs a lot easier, because I know exactly what I'm doing now. Whereas in before, I was having to go and pay people to do things for me, when really and truly I ain't learning nothing doing that. So because now I've learned a lot myself, shout out to Lefty, because Lefty's taught me a fucking lot. But yeah, and not only that, digital age again, if I want to learn how to do something, I'll just type it in on YouTube, watch a fucking 4-minute video, think, oh yeah. Or what I'll do is I'll open the video and have the video on the side and have my Logic open and just straight up cross-reference and copy what I need to do. So, and then before I know it, I don't have to watch a video because I know how to do something from watching a different video. So it's probably just like the learning element and the being able to do a lot more for myself. But as an artist, that's very fucking, it's handy, do you know what I mean? Very handy.
Fucking right, dude. Again, learning how to do a lot of this stuff is infinitely easier when you just go, do you know what? Fuck it. I just need to know. I don't care how complicated it is or how convoluted it is. I just give it here. Let me fucking do it. Or at least then I'll be better. I'll be better equipped to articulate what it is I want from you the next time I have to ask you to do something. A final question. It's been referenced quite a lot on this album. Terribly sorry to ask, what exactly is a zoot? There's been several references to lighting up one's zoot. Not terribly familiar with the phrase. It seems to be referenced quite frequently on the album. Would you mind terribly telling me what is that? What is that in reference to?
That is this fucking marijuana guy.
Oh dear.
This is marijuana guy. This fucking marijuana guy.
I'm joking. I know what it is.
He knows what it is. He knew all along.
Oh, serious last question is, I know that it's you know, you're kind of not too sure about when it can actually be in our hands, but if you were to give people an idea of expectation, because this is going to drop real soon, this video is going to be dropping, so people are going to want to know when they can hear it. When do you think they should be expecting it? When do you think is realistic to say, listen, you need to keep your ears peeled for this because it's going to be coming? Can't say exactly when, but if I were you, I'd be looking out for
the top of June, beginning of July.
Woo! So not that long. We don't even have to wait that long.
Really, not that long, bro. I'm telling you, it's on the best side of done it's been for a long time.
So you're saying that come June, maybe July, I can pick this up, and it means that I can start getting in shape and fucking some shit up.
110%. I'm gonna do a merch run. It's gonna go a bit bananas.
What are you gonna make? What can I get my hands on?
We'll see.
Come on, man. I need to know. I'm on a tight budget here, and I got a rep, so I gotta know what am I getting Legos? Are there going to be caps? Maybe some sort of pencil sharpener that I can purchase? You know, I need to know.
There's gonna be all kinds. I'm also gonna be doing a listening party. Anyway, I'm saying too much, but yeah, we're gonna go crazy, man. We're gonna go real crazy.
He said too much. Yes, we got more than he expected to give us. Yes, I'm a big boy interviewer. That's what I am. Well, look, in that case then, the only thing left to do is to say, well, if people want to keep an eye out for it, where should they be following you? Where should they be subscribing to? And if they want to get a taste of things, where should they go in the meantime to follow all things P Solja and to catch up on the music you've produced so far to get an essence of where you're going to be going with this album?
It's P Solja everywhere, and go on Instagram. I've got preview videos of snippets of the songs off the album. If you haven't seen them, go see them, because the black and white and the songs on them, and going crazy on them.
I don't suppose you're performing live again soon? Because again, I joke, I wasn't really in Sheffield I was there on purpose because, no offense, Sheffield, the snooker was on and I could have been there. Instead, though, I had a specific purpose. But I got to tell you guys, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun watching you live. I had a great time. And it's just one of those things where it was like, do you know what? I kind of want to do this again and soon, but I can't make you perform. I'm going to wait for you to know when you want to go.
Live shows, I ain't really doing no shows now until I drop my album. So every little focus now, music-wise, is on the album. So no up-and-coming shows at the minute, no nothing. We're just strictly on focus now.
All right. And if I was to give you the last word as to why people, when this drops, should quit their jobs, drop whatever they're doing, stop fighting that fire, stop chasing that miscreant. If you're a police officer, drop whatever it is you're doing and go and check out this album. What would you say?
If you don't want to listen to my album, just, I don't know, play Assassin's Creed or something. I don't know. If you don't want to listen to it, play Assassin's Creed or some shit like that.
There you have it. If I'm his, I'm not your manager, but if you're my Roman Reigns and I'm your wise man, my tribal chief. I'm not sure that the fans are getting the urgency of this album release and just how much they need to. I mean, I'm not saying you have to change what you're saying, but I am saying though that that they're maybe not understanding the urgency here that they need to go and check this album out. That's all, and that's all I'm saying, my tribal chief. I'm saying no more, my tribal chief.
Just out knowing if you don't want to listen to it, play Assassin's Creed.
Fuck it. I'm telling you, I have sampled this album. It's brilliant. And look, not all joking aside, if you're the kind of person that's looking for something that's got a genuine... It really reaches through the headphones and grabs you. And I'm not saying that as hyperbole. It was one of those things that really struck me when I was listening to it, is the tracks really do fucking thump. And they really do have this relentless and consistent energy. If you're a gym goer, if you're a jogger, if you're the kind of person that likes putting on something in the background that doesn't have too many thrills and spills on it, then this is definitely an album worth checking out. And then you've got P, who has got some of the smoothest vocals you'll ever hear. There's no reason not to go and check this out immediately, and also then go check out his other stuff. I hope that wasn't too much, my tribal chief. Just in my humble opinion, sir.
Nah, man, that's exactly it right there. That is exactly it. They're the moments we're trying to capture, man. If you listen to it and you don't like it, yeah, come and see me live, and then listen to it after you've seen me live. Then maybe you'll get a better understanding of the album. But yeah, if you want to drive like a lunatic, or you want to lift your personal best, or you want to run faster than your bridging, or I don't know, you want to beat somebody up because he owe you some money or some shit, just put this on the way there. Skip Shroomski, but listen to the whole album on the way there, and you'll probably achieve your goals.
And that's got to be
the Assassin's Creed.
that has to be the dismount, man.